Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now the beginning of August of 2022, and we're only getting closer to TV shows out there like Star Wars Andor, as well as The Bad Batch Season 2 and Tales of the Jedi, before we get into 2023 with the release of Mando Season 3, the Ahsoka Tano TV show, and a whole lot more. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the future of the Star Wars universe is that Jon and Dave have a lot of influence over a handful of the upcoming Star Wars TV shows, as well as the lore and the canon and exactly what's going to happen in the books and the comics. So basically, they really do have a lot of creative power, and with the recent promotion that Jon Favreau got over at Lucasfilm, it really puts him in a better position than ever before to actually call the shots on multiple Star Wars projects, be it, of course, TV shows, movies, and books, and video games, and comics, whatever have you. He has a lot of creative influence over a lot of things right now that's really going to steer things in the right path. Now, moving on top of all of this, alright, we already know that everything related to Disney Star Wars right now is that Chapek wants to make sure that 2023 is going to be by far the best Star Wars year for TV shows. Now, of course, we have the Skeleton Crew series coming out next year. That's a complete Kathleen Kennedy-driven product, and that is one thing that I think a lot of fans are going to be skeptical about until they are able to see exactly, what the footage is going to look like, etc. So, with that being said, however, what's even all the more intriguing has a lot to do with what Favreau recently did to prevent a big disaster from happening in the Star Wars franchise that was being handled by both Kathleen Kennedy and writer Leslye Headland. Now, with both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni now developing over a dozen Star Wars projects at once, creators like George Lucas are helping out with Jon and Dave fulfilling the new vision of Star Wars that will truly begin in 2023 for the Star Wars community. However, recently many changes have been happening behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm, with Jon Favreau after he got more creative power over the new Star Wars universe, and especially with the Acolyte Star Wars series. Now, Favreau recently fired and got rid of one of the co-writers for the Acolyte TV show that was working alongside Leslye Headland for the middle of the series that was going to focus on lore-breaking and canon-breaking aspects of Star Wars that Favreau was not happy about. Since Favreau now has more control over the new Star Wars universe, he recently got rid of this co-writer that was promoting the use of Yoda in the Acolyte series, abandoning the Jedi Order and exiling himself completely during the middle point of the Acolyte series. Now, after Favreau got rid of this co-writer that was working with Leslye Headland, Favreau erased a big story piece of the Acolyte series that was going to focus on breaking down the Yoda character and turning him into something new that Kathleen Kennedy was embracing for the Star Wars series. So far, this big Yoda scene in Episode 5 of the Acolyte was completely erased from the script that involved Yoda leaving the Jedi Order and going to Ahch-To, the same world that Luke Skywalker exiled himself to in The Last Jedi. This was Kathleen Kennedy's attempt to set up the canon that Yoda knew about Ahch-To well before Luke did, and kept the place a secret from many other Jedi until Luke desperately needed to know and followed Yoda's Force Ghost guidance in the canon. Now, let me just stop here for a second. Now, in case you guys did not know, Kathleen Kennedy, yes, wanted to add in a lot of canon-breaking material for the Acolyte series, and this was one of them that Jon Favreau recently erased and got rid of, thankfully, and it is just not going to happen. Now, the thing about this, too, is that when you look at the world of Ahch-To, a lot of fans, they like the look of it and all, but the story behind Ahch-To always remained a big mystery, other than the fact that we knew that it held the Journal of the Wills, it held a lot of the ancient Jedi texts that we thought got burned, but eventually was revealed to have been saved by Rey in Episode 9. There's a lot more story to tell about that world when it comes to the ancient Jedi texts. That's what Kathleen Kennedy wanted to adapt on, and to have Yoda go there and exile himself and abandon the Jedi Order. This would have been terrible in my book, because having Yoda abandon the Jedi Order before The Phantom Menace makes absolutely no sense. It would have been completely, canon breaking, because he exiles himself anyway after Revenge of the Sith during the fall of the Jedi and Order 66. So when you have a moment like the High Republic, which by the way is considered to be the high point of the Jedi, makes absolutely no sense at all. So I'm glad that Favreau stepped in, made a lot of, modifications to the story of the Acolyte, and really forced Leslye Headland to erase this from the script, and really got rid of one of the co-writers that actually was responsible for placing this into the show. Now again, we're not quite sure who that co-writer really was. It was probably some unknown working with Leslye Headland on the series, but I digress. On top of all of this, this is where things begin to progress. Favreau knew that this was not going to work with fans and forced Leslye Headland recently to vanish it from the script, to have it erased and to not show up in the series at all. This was an attempt by Kathleen Kennedy to recreate a similar storyline of The Last Jedi in the Acolyte show, for telling a new story about Yoda and the origin of the actual Jedi world known as Ahch-To. Now, though Ahch-To is still set to appear in episodes that Kathleen Kennedy has power over, Jon Favreau got rid of this story in the middle point of the series, erased, to save the show from having a major backlash. Kennedy was not happy about Jon's decision with this approach, and currently holds a grudge with Favreau after he made these drastic changes to the storyline. Now, Kennedy was going to essentially make part of the Acolyte a retelling of The Last Jedi, that she wanted to go over Yoda's secrets about the ancient Jedi texts in the Star Wars show. Favreau got involved with Star Wars, of course, in the first place, since he did not enjoy The Last Jedi by Rian Johnson back in 2017, and prevented bad things from happening. So that's another prime example of Jon Favreau course-correcting Star Wars, especially with a TV show like this one. Now, the one thing that I do want to point out here real quick is that Ahch-To is going to be further expanded in books and comics. I think that's all what really needs to be done, right? I don't think a lot of people want to go back there after The Last Jedi took place by Rian Johnson. But overall, I think that Favreau really cares about the fans. This is a prime example that he just wants nothing to do with The Last Jedi or any kind of reference to that movie to appear in any of the live-action Star Wars material moving forward as well. And I think that also, when you look at Filoni and Favreau and how they have this dynamic of taking a lot of things from Star Wars Legends and throwing it into the new canon, that's also, very inspiring, because it's going to allow fans to adapt to their style of Star Wars. So, obviously, the Acolyte series, in case you guys did not know, Favreau now has control over 5 episodes of the series. Meanwhile, Kathleen Kennedy still has creative power over 4 episodes. So, it's practically divided up half and half. And I think that means we're going to get a show that's going to be a little bit mixed. You're going to have blends of very quality-driven content, and then you're going to have other blends of Kathleen Kennedy-driven content that's going to be very stale and flat. And I think that might be the only thing that's going to make the Acolyte somewhat okay. But if it weren't for Jon Favreau stepping in, I really do believe that the Acolyte would have either A, gotten cancelled midway through, or B, would have been universally rejected by the Star Wars community around the globe. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.